After control of the car, which is pulling off, changing gears, turning and stopping, there's 7 K53 observations to add in to make sure it's safe while we're driving. The first K53 observations is before you indicate. So before you indicate to the right, you need to check mirror, and over our shoulder onto the right hand side, just out the back window over here, which is our blind spot. So before you indicate to the right will be mirror, blind spot, indicate. That's the first observation. In total, there are 7. So before we indicate, it's mirror, blind spot, indicate. The second observation is before we turn. So usually before we turn, we indicate. So it'll be mirror, blind spot, indicate. And then before we turn, we make sure we're in either first or second gear. And then before you turn, it'll be mirror, blind spot again, and then turn. If you're gonna turn to the left and indicate to the left, it'll be mirror, left blind spot, indicate. And then before you turn, mirror, blind spot on the left hand side, which is just out the back window, over your shoulder, and turn. So the first observation is before you indicate. Second observation, before you turn. The third observation works with the handbrake. So before you put the handbrake down, we need to look right around the entire car. So every time you stop your car, the handbrake will come up. Before we take off, handbrake goes down. So before you put the handbrake down, we need to check right around the entire car, which will be blind spot, mirror, blind spot, and handbrake down. So these observations are attached to certain instruments or actions. The fourth observation will be before we stop the car. So before you touch your brakes, before your right foot touches your brake, you need to check your mirror. Fifth observation, before you change gears, you check your mirror. If you read in your K53 manual, it'll say before you increase speed, you check your mirror, but the observation is done when you change your gears. The sixth observation will be every road you drive past. So if we're driving on a straight road and we're passing side roads, every road you drive past, you should check your mirror and look down the road to make sure it's safe, make sure it's clear, make sure the cars on opposite sides are stopping. And the last observation, which is usually done on the N2 or the N1 or any freeway, every 8 seconds, you check your center mirror. We're going to do the observations while I'm driving, and you can see how it falls in. So I'm about to pull off. I'll indicate, mirror, blind spot, indicate. Now I will do the pulling off procedure, clutch in first gear, clutch out halfway. And before I put the handbrake down, I'll do a full observation, blind spot, mirror, blind spot, handbrake down. This is not a stop street in front of me. So before I turn, I'll check mirror, blind spot, and turn in the direction that I'm turning. Pull method holding your steering wheel. Changing gears off the petrol clutch in, check my mirror. Second gear. If you pass a pedestrian crossing, same rule applies as the side road, mirror side for the pedestrian crossing. I'm about to pass side roads as well. So before I pass the road, mirror side at a 45-degree angle. Turning left at the road up ahead, I'll indicate, mirror, blind spot, indicate. Pedestrian crossings, I'll check side roads. This is not a stop street. And before I turn, mirror, blind spot, and turn. In second gear, on a long straight road, every 8 seconds I'll check the mirror. This is a long straight road, there's no side roads. Changing gears, check my mirror, change to third gear. Pedestrian crossing, I'll check side. Pull method. Push method on the steering wheel. This is a solid line, we can't cross the solid line. So while we're driving, while we're doing control of the car, while we're checking our safety observations, simultaneously, we have to read the rules of the road, which is basically the road markings and the signs, which gives you an indication how to use the roads we're driving on, which part of the road to drive on. So up ahead, there's a turn only arrow to the left. We're turning left, we'll keep on the left hand side. Robots turn green, so I'll indicate mirror, left blind spot, indicate. And before I turn, mirror, left blind spot, and turn. I'll turn in my lane. So I was on the leftmost lane before I turned. After I turned, I'm still on the leftmost lane. I want to change lanes to the right, so I'll go mirror, blind spot, indicate. Mirror, blind spot, change lanes. So usually you'll always keep on the left lane, which is the slow lane. However, on this particular road, there are many obstructions on the left-hand side lane. So we changed over to the right-hand side lane. So just to focus on the road markings up ahead, the dashed line on the middle of the road, we are able to change lanes over the dashed line. The solid line is a barrier line. It means you can't overtake, you can't change lanes over a solid line. If you look at the left-hand side of the road, you'll see a speed limit up ahead, and you'll also see a sign up ahead which gives us an indication that the 2 lanes we are driving on right now, there's 2 lanes, is going to merge into 1 lane. If you look at the second sign, there's 3 signs on the left hand side. The first one shows us there's a robot approaching. The second sign shows us there's 2 lanes merging into 1. And the third sign on the left hand side shows us there's a bend up ahead and the speed limit around the bend is 40. So knowing how to read the signs on the side of the road and being able to notice it in time will make your drive smooth and simple. Every road you drive past, you check mirror side. Just over around the bend, merging lanes, you'll check your blind spot to make sure that there's no vehicles going to merge into your vehicle. If you look at the sign on the side of the road, it's 50. So on a long straight road, every 8 seconds we check our mirror. We're in third gear, we're not exceeding 60, so there's no need to go to fourth gear. Side roads, you'll check mirror side. If there's an obstruction on the side of the road, you have to indicate and go around it. If it means you need to move out of your lane. If not, you can carry on straight in your lane. Some obstructions up ahead, which means we'll stop. So we'll go mirror, brake, handbrake up, neutral. We'll wait for the obstruction to move out of the way. This is a single lane. However, these vehicles have pulled over on the side of the road to enter the parking service station. The road is wide enough for me to pass, so we'll pass. Full observations, handbrake down, and we'll indicate around him. Indicate to come back. Mirror, change gears. We'll keep in our center lane. We're about to turn right. Mirror, blind spot, indicate. Mirror, brake. Handbrake up, gear neutral. When you're standing at a stop street, you are allowed to take a hand off the steering wheel if you like, or you can keep your hand on the steering wheel. So the opposite robots have turned red, which means our robots are about to turn green. So we can get ready. Clutch in, first gear. We can find the biting point. Before we put the handbrake down, full observation, blind spot, mirror, blind spot, handbrake down, and turn. When you do your full observation, you end on the side that you're turning. We're not allowed to change gears while we're turning. In your test, they'll fail you if you do. After we turn, straighten the wheel, change gears to second gear. Turning left on the road up ahead, mirror, mirror, left blind spot indicate. We are in second gear, and then before we turn, mirror, mirror, left blind spot. Turn. We'll turn in our leftmost lane. If we change lanes while we're turning, they can fail you for that. Turning left, so we'll keep on the left lane. We won't change lanes to the right, so we'll indicate, mirror, mirror, blind spot indicate. And then we'll stop because it's a real robot, so it's mirror, brake. Handbrake up high, it's an incline start, so we'll pull up our handbrake, go to neutral. Waiting at the robots, our robots are red. We're going to watch the opposite robots, whether they're green or amber. The robots are green, go to first gear, clutch control, full observation, blind spot, mirror, 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 blind spot, ending on the side that we're turning, and then we turn. In our lane, pull, push, straighten the wheel, mirror, second gear. Every time you change gears, mirror, third gear. And every road you drive past, mirror, side road. At the same time, mirror, side road, we are noticing the rules on the side of the road. We are noticing the painted markings. Painted marking is a dashed line, which means we can change lanes if we want to. There's a solid line approaching. We're approaching a pedestrian crossing, which means we must beware, possibly slow down, make sure it's safe. Mirror, side, side. So you'll check your side roads for pedestrian crossings as well to make sure that the pedestrians have not exited the pavement and put their foot onto the road. Every 8 seconds you check your mirror, mirror, side road. Mirror, side road. There's a pedestrian crossing. Mirror, side, side.